Mike, let me start with you. We know that this is going to be a really rough jobless claims number. We saw the number from last week. It's been pretty clearly telegraphed, and if you've been paying any attention at all, you know this is going to be a difficult number. Is there any number that would actually shock or surprise the markets?
I don't think so, Becky. I think essentially the range is so wide of the forecast. There's a lot of technical issues behind backlogs and processing that I just think enormous is probably the best guess right now. And it's really about next week, believe it or not. You want to see if this is just kind of a rush, a surge that's going to play itself out quickly, or if this is now somehow going to settle into some kind of a trend. One of the reasons weekly jobless claims are such a valuable economic indicator normally is it's a very sensitive read on the trend, the underlying trend of business and the labor market. We're not getting any read on trend. We're getting readings on a shock at this point. So it's really, again, about how long this all lasts. I do think one way that the number could be relevant in a more short-term basis is if it really restarts the discussion of, hey, what Congress has passed so far might not be enough. That in fact, phase 4, whatever that might look like, perhaps has to get going before the markets can settle down a little bit and people have assurance that they're cushioned in terms of the real economy as well.
Hey, JJ, there may not be a number that really shocks us, but I'm sure it's going to be a number that still takes us a while to kind of get our head around and figure out what it all means and just to absorb it. How does that impact trading at this point?
Well, I think to that point, many people are talking 5.5, 6 million, which is amazing, double what we've seen last week. And so with that, I do think that we'll be at that high end of the range because we've never really covered the self-employed or independent contractors before. And now with the CARES Act, those people are going to be covered also. So I would expect this to be a huge surge number. But because there is such an expectation that this is going to be bad, I don't know that it's necessarily going to crush the market today. We saw last week, it wasn't quite a crush that we saw from this number overall. I think what we really want to look for in the market what we've seen over the last few days is what we want to continue to see, Becky, and that is us trading. Now, we've had big moves, don't get me wrong, but we're not hitting up limit, down limit. We're staying within 100 points on the S&P 500 range. I know that sounds crazy, but that's actually the step to recovery is narrowing those ranges day by day, week by week, so we can get into something that's more predictable. So as this number comes out, if you look at what the S&P 500, what the options market is telling us about the S&P 500, we should expect a $62 range between now and tomorrow on the close. So just, that alone tells you that this volatility is going to continue, but I don't think that this number is necessarily a market crusher.
I guess that's a good point. All of life is relativity, and at least there is a silver lining. Hey, we're not limit up and limit down, especially limit down. JJ, where is the VIX right now? How do you think volatility is going to go from here?
Yeah, the VIX trading about 54 right now, Becky, and down a little bit overnight, obviously, as the market rallied. But there's no reason to think it's going to go away right away. But that's kind of my point overall, is that if you look at what's going on right now, again, these are huge ranges, don't get me wrong, but you don't come out of these things right away. And for those who are looking for the bullish case, I find it hard to believe we have this V recovery that many have talked about, because even if we, tomorrow they said, okay, all is good, coronavirus is done, you can go back to work, I don't think people are necessarily hopping on planes, hopping on cruise ships immediately. A business is going to take a while to get going. You had a guest on earlier talking about you may limit people in conference rooms, etc. So this is going to take a while to get going. That, to me, makes it very difficult for us to get a V-shaped recovery. Plus, the number 2 sector in the S&P 500, financials, are taking the 1-2 punch of business slowing down and rates being really low. Without that sector really having a chance to get going, it's going to be hard to be in that V-shaped recovery. So that's why I want to look for narrower ranges where you can come on every day and people can say, here's a resistance level, here's a support level. People are not really saying that right now because it's too unpredictable.